Hi guys, it's Lynn here. Hope everyone is having an amazing day. Now today guys, I'm going to be talking to you about something a little bit different than the usual cacti and succulent videos. Today I'm going to be talking about the very beautiful Begonia Leprechaun, or also known as Begonia little tiger, or sometimes called Begonia tiger paws. And I have two of these beautiful houseplants here. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because when I often do my houseplant updates, I always include these two beautiful begonias here. And lots of people say, Lynn, what's that gorgeous begonia you've got? And can you make a separate video on this plant? And this is what I'm doing today. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history behind these two plants and also a little bit on how to care for this particular begonia. There's a few different types of begonias, but this particular begonia has like one of the rhizome type of begonias that has a rhizome, and there's a few different types of different begonias. So the care for this is going to be about this particular begonia, and it's purely from my own experience of growing this plant over 2 years now. Now, Min has quite a few different begonias in our collection. As you can see there, it's Begonia maculata, lovely big leafed, lovely big spots on it too, and Begonia bowerae here as well. So there's lovely sort of hairy little leaves, and this sort of drops a lot of leaves in the winter time, and there's new little ones coming up, growing up there. Absolutely gorgeous. And then we also have this begonia too here, which is the Begonia elbow picta, and has beautiful peachy colour flowers on it, and that's a bit like the maculata but smaller spots, and has the pink flowers. And these are all some of our house plants here on this rather crazy plant shelf here, where we have our crystals on as well, and we have some grow lights that we normally have on dull days. It's sunny at the moment, so I've switched them off obviously, but they do very well on here. Now, first of all, about the history about this particular begonia that I've got here. Now, as I say, there's two here, and this one obviously is the larger one, and this one is the smaller one. Now, what's interesting is I actually got this particular begonia here probably about 2 years ago now from here in Belfast. It was actually in Bangor, which is a beautiful seaside town just outside Belfast. And me and Hans took a day trip there. It was in the January, so it'll actually be nearly 2 years. And we love to go around little charity shop, thrift shops, because you never know what you might find. You often find plant pots and even plants that we've got from there many times, and the money's going to charity. And they had this beautiful begonia for £1, guys. And I couldn't believe it. I said, oh, we have to have that. It's beautiful. And I actually made a video when we got this beautiful plant. And you have to watch that video if you haven't done already. I'm going to put the links up above to that video, and also at the end of this video, at the end annotations. Please do watch it, because you'll see that this was the one plant that we got, and it has grown quite a bit since then, and extra special that it was sort of a rescue plant from the charity shop. Extra special there. I was very happy, and I made a video when I actually got that coming back on the train, so do check that video out. Links will be up above. And this is it here. Now, what was interesting when we bought this particular begonia back, there's actually a leaf that had come off on the journey. Perfectly healthy leaf. So we just, thought, well, have a go at propagating it. We know begonias can be propagated from leaf, and also cut it, the rhizome cuttings as well, and also from the stem cuttings too. But the leaf looked healthy. It was middle of winter, as I say, January, so we didn't think it was going to take. Stuck the little leaf in, and believe it or not, within a few weeks, it propagated itself and formed into a new little plant. So we potted it up into its own little pot. And have a look at it now, guys. This is the second one. That was the original leaf. And the actual leaf was, it was about that size. And that's the size. The baby now, in under 2 years, has formed in a magnificent, beautiful begonia. And it is also almost twice as wide as its mother, as you can see there. Quite remarkable, guys. So we now have two from the one plant, and that's a bit of the history about this little begonia. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to care for this particular begonia, because it's not one that's commonly seen in garden centres and nurseries. You see a lot of the maculata on that one is a beautiful, that's the most commonly seen, one of our favourites too. But you don't see this one anymore. So I was very happy to get it from a charity shop. But if you're on the lookout for it, search on Google, because there'll be places to get it online, and it is called Begonia, often called Begonia Leprechaun, or Begonia tiger paws, or Begonia little tiger. And the true name of it is Begonia bowerae. I think it's how you pronounce it, Bowerae. I'm not even going to try and pronounce because I'm terrible at pronouncing the names. But it's usually seen as the little leprechaun or tiger paws plant. And this particular begonia is a rhizomous one, which means it grows from the rhizomes here. Just show you, this is our other one here. And this is our Begonia sizemora, but just show that's one of the rhizomes coming out the pot. That's what it looks like, the rhizomes there. And that's where all the new shoots all come from. And when it comes to the lighting with these beauties, we have these in our kitchen, which is south facing. Now, at this particular time of year in the winter, the sun does come across, but these get more indirect sun. They get a little bit of dappled sun, but not full sun. And begonias, this particular begonia as well, does like to have some shade. So they love partial shade, not full shade. And they can take sunlight if it's indirect, so indirect light. And especially a bit more light in the winter time. Like, this isn't going to hurt with the sun coming across here because it's not strong sun, and as I say, it's more indirect sun. And then we have the grow lights on dark days here to give a bit of an extra boost, and it is growing absolutely well. It's thriving here, I have to say, guys. So a bit of a shady spot with a bit of indirect light, and begonias will be very happy like that. And with the soil, when it comes to the rooting soil, the compost soil, these plants, begonias, as I said, they have rhizomes, these particular begonias, and they can be very rot prone if they're potted up in a very damp, not very well aerated soil. So these do like lots of aeration and a very, very well draining soil. Now, personally, I like to use a loam based soil, and I mix a bit of extra perlite and a little bit of horticultural sand into the soil. And I find that the soil is well draining and dries out pretty quick. But you can also use peat soil as well, and you can use a good quality houseplant soil as long as it's well draining. Maybe putting a little bit of extra perlite as well into the soil, so it helps to keep the roots well aired, and also the soil dries out quickly in between waterings. And in the summer, what I would do with these particular plants is give it well watered during the summer. I water it pretty much as soon as the soil starts to dry out, I'll give it a good water again. And in the winter now, I'll keep them a lot drier. And I'll only water them when the top of the surface of the soil has dried out. And then once the top of the surface of the soil is dried out, I'll then give it a bit more water again. But I don't keep them wet all the time, because like all plants, house plants, in winter, when they're pretty much resting, they'll rot if they're kept in soggy soil. So water only when the top of the soil becomes dry, and a bit more water during the summer period. And feeding, we actually feed these begonias every 2 weeks, and we use a good quality houseplant fertiliser works really well, that's high in nitrogen, such as Baby Bio or any other good quality houseplant fertiliser. Every 2 weeks from spring up until sort of like mid-fall, sort of October time, we'll stop feeding completely and give them their winter rest, and then start feeding again, probably from the May time, late April, May. Every 2 weeks, and they seem to love that. Now, this particular begonia has never actually flowered for us yet, but it does normally have very pale pink or often white tiny flowers, as a lot of begonias do. But as I say, this has not flowered yet. Hopefully next year it will flower for us, so keeping our fingers crossed there. It's putting out a load of new foliage anyway, and begonias are often more valued with their foliage than they are actually for the flowers, because the flowers are often nothing really to go mad about, to go crazy about. The foliage with these particular begonias are always very beautiful. As you can see there, the MacLeod as well, very stunning foliage, absolutely beautiful. And then propagation, I say, very easy. Now, I wouldn't propagate these begonias during winter time, because like a lot of plants, they're resting now. So springtime is always the best, spring and summer, when the plants are actively growing. And all you have to do is take a little leaf off and place it on top of the soil, and they'll often send out little roots from the bottom. And you can also take cuttings as well, stem cuttings also, and from the rhizome cuttings too. I've never done it from stem cuttings or rhizome cuttings, so I'm not the best to give advice on that, but I can guarantee the leaves do work very well, even when we did it in January, as I mentioned earlier. And temperature, these are house plants, unless you live in a very tropical country. They do like to be kept at an absolute minimum of 10 degrees Celsius, which is about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So obviously they need to be grown indoors. They can probably go outdoors during the summer if you can give them a shady position and protect them from wind and heavy rain. They should do well. They do like a lot more humidity than some other plants do. So obviously if you're growing these, we don't have these with our cacti. In the polytunnel, they do like to be kept more humid. They're not an arid plant in any form there. And again, as mentioned about the temperature, I just want to mention that they like to be kept away from direct sun and also excessive heat as well. They will wilt if they have too much heat. So if your house is very hot, if you've got them over a radiator or anything like that, they will wilt. So they need to be kept away from a heat source, but obviously above 10 Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Average room temperature is the best for these begonias. And here, yep, I mentioned about the feeding, the watering. These type of plants can take pretty much normal tap water unless you have a very hard water, and therefore I'd recommend using rainwater. But if you're using tap water, these seem to be very well with that. I just with our house plants anyway, we just let the tap water sit for 24 hours before we use it, just to let any of the chlorine and some of the other chemicals to dissipate out of the water. And that's pretty much it. I think I've covered everything. A little bit of care tips here on this begonia. Now, do you have this begonia, guys? Or if you have begonias, what do you grow? Let me know. Drop your comments down below if you love begonias. And if so, which ones do you grow? So guys, I hope you found that video helpful and informative. And thank you all so much for your amazing support and all your comments, guys. And please do check out my website, desertplantsofavalon.com. And I want to send you loads of love, heaps of happiness, and tons of plant power from across the Emerald Isle. And until my next video, bye. Bye. Bye.